Hi everyone! So this is going to be my introduction video. I'm just going to talk a little bit about myself and how I found tarot. I may or may not do a collective reading after this. Depends on how long my story takes. So I'm going to start at my Saturn return. That started back in 2012. I believe I was 24. I was born in 86. Hold on one sec. 96, 2006, 2016. I was 26, actually. I was 26. I thought I was 24. I just found out about the Saturn return thing, and it makes so much sense, like with what's been going on since then. So starting in 2012, I had graduated and started my job at a lab. Things were going really well, and things were looking up for me. And I was in school also to become a medical technologist. I got a job as a lab assistant. I got my phlebotomy certification. Anyways, I'm gonna keep going because I don't want this to take too long. There's been a lot of stuff over the years. So I ended up screwing up that job, okay? So like I was kind of like feeling like I was on top of the world, and you know, as a Leo, like my ego was really big, you know, back then. I've been humbled a lot, but anyways, so I ended up messing up my own career, partying it up, you know, trying to live big, and I ended up dropping out of school after I'd lost my job at the lab I was working at. Everything just kind of fell apart. And now that I look back, it makes a lot of sense. And the following year, I was still in my Saturn return, and it started in 2012 when it entered Scorpio. I forgot to mention that. So Saturn ended up leaving and going into Sagittarius, and then it retrograded back into Scorpio, into where my Saturn return is. And I was pregnant with my daughter at that time. Oh, I skipped a part. Okay, after everything fell apart, I just kept partying. I got a felony DUI because it was my third. I got 3 of them in a row: 2012, 2013, and 2014. It was all during my Saturn return. But I got my third DUI. I got a felony, and I could no longer work as a healthcare worker. I ruined my career. I wish I would have known about the Saturn return, you know, because then I probably could have, you know, kind of better prepared myself. I highly doubt that. I think that I would have ended up falling off the tower anyway, you know, because of the way I was living. So anyways, after I got my felony DUI, I could no longer go to college for what I wanted to. I felt like I completely destroyed my life. Okay? But I had my husband too, by the way. I met him in 2009 and we got married in 2012, before my Saturn return started. And then like I said, it left into Sagittarius. I'm just gonna go ahead and jump ahead. It left into Sagittarius, and then after I got out of prison, I got pregnant with my daughter in 2015, the beginning of 2015. And then Saturn moved back into Scorpio again. And like, oh my gosh, there's a lot of synchronicities with it. Okay, anyways, I'm gonna go on ahead. So I got pregnant with my daughter, and then I had her in November of 2015 before Saturn moved back into Sagittarius. She's a Scorpio, which my Saturn return was in Scorpio. So she's got her sun sign and her Saturn in Scorpio, which is, I should probably look that up and see what's going on with that. But anyways, I had complications when I gave birth to her. She was perfectly fine. She was healthy. I had a vaginal birth. Everything was fine. The placenta would not detach. It was stuck. Like, it fused to part of my fallopian tube. I'm just gonna, I'm gonna try to make it as short as possible because I still have a lot to go. So anyways, I was losing a lot of blood. They had to rush me to OR after they cut the cord and everything. My daughter was perfectly fine. Right after I had her, I got to hold her for maybe about an hour before they rushed me off to the OR. And she latched on right away and started nursing and everything. But anyways, so I got rushed to OR. My epidural stopped working. And the anesthesiologist was actually at another surgery, so they couldn't put me under before they did the surgery to remove the placenta. And I could feel the whole thing. It was like a nightmare. It was, sorry, I have like a nervous laugh. Like, I don't know if you guys noticed that, but if I'm ever doing a reading and I do that, I don't find something funny. It's usually a nervous laugh. But anyways, so I could hear the whole thing too. Like, it was the scariest thing. Like, I could feel the whole thing. I was like, I can feel it. And then they gave me gas and I could still feel the whole thing. It was like a nightmare, man. It was very painful. It was the most painful thing I've ever experienced in my life. And I've come close to death a few times. I split open my kidney by 4 centimeters when I was 19. I've had a really rough past. But anyways, somehow I found strength to get through it. I don't think they realized that my epidural had stopped working, and like, I kept trying to tell them, hey, I can feel it. They put this gas mask on me and just kind of ignored me, and I could hear the whole thing. The surgeon was kind of panicked. It freaked me out because, like, she kept ordering more blood. I was losing so much blood, and I was starting to feel a little faint towards the end of it. But like I said, it was like a nightmare. I ended up making through it, obviously. But I wonder if it has to do with the Saturn return and the fact that it was in Scorpio, and like, my daughter was a Scorpio. It's really crazy how synchronistic it was. But yeah, that made me realize, like I said, I've almost died a couple other times before. My liver almost shut down when I was 15. I OD'd on Tylenol, and I didn't tell my parents about it until it already started shutting my liver down. But nothing happened. Like, I mean, like, I went to therapy after that and stuff, but I didn't appreciate my life, back then. That should have woke me up, but it didn't. Anyways, so after I went through all the Saturn return stuff, I was on probation. And the funny thing is, when Saturn returned, it's like it came to make sure I was doing everything right, like I was supposed to be and everything. And I was, because I was about to be a mom. But anyways, let's fast forward now to 2017. That's when, I don't know what was going on in astrology. I didn't pay attention to it. I didn't really start getting into astrology and tarot until the summer of last year, because there was just so much going on. Like, anyways, Let's go on to, where was I? Okay, 2017. So the first thing that happened was major thing anyway, was in, let's see, September of 2017, my grandma died. I went to her funeral, and my daughter was, or no, it was 2016. Yeah, because she wasn't even one yet. I took her with me to the funeral because I could fly her on the plane for free, and she was breastfeeding, so I didn't have enough pumped milk in the fridge or anything. She wasn't a year old yet. I brought her with me. But at the first time that it finally hit me that my grandma was gone was when the whole town was there. I grew up in a Russian Orthodox village, so everyone was singing. They were singing the Orthodox songs for death or whatever. That was when it finally hit me that she was really gone. And I remember I started shaking. Like, I just, I was trying to hold it in and I couldn't. I started shaking like violently, and then it just let it out, and I was trying to hold it back, but I couldn't. My daughter comes up, and I had my head down because I didn't want people to see I was crying. And I was still, my ego was still really, really high. I didn't even want people to see me cry. I mean, come on now. But anyways, my daughter comes up and she lifts my head up. She puts my head up, and then she looks in my eyes. And then she came, like, she opened her arms up and came and sat in my lap. And my daughter remembers that. Like, she's 4 years old now. She understands the concept of death, and I don't know how. Like, she wasn't even a year old when she went to my grandma's funeral. But I guess maybe it must come to Scorpios naturally. But anyways, I'm getting off topic. Like, I'm trying to talk about my story. Okay, so my grandma died. After the funeral, I come back home, and that's when everything really started to fall apart. I found out my third cousin died right when I got back, and then my friend, a few weeks later, she killed herself. I was supposed to go to her birthday party, maybe a week after I came back from my grandma's funeral, and I never went, and I felt terrible, for not going. And you know how it is when you lose somebody, you kind of you're like, what could I have done, especially if somebody takes their own life. But anyways, that happened the same year. It was just all within a month. And then a few months later, we lost our apartment that December. Like, it was like one thing after another. It was like, can it get any worse, we lose our apartment, my husband and I, and he's an Aries, by the way. And then we went to go stay with his sister for a while. We finally get into our own place maybe 3 months later. We had both lost our jobs. It was crazy. It was like all these things just one after another. And it was like, at the time I was like, with my ego and stuff, it's like, why are you doing this to me, God? I'm like, why are you doing this to me? Like, what have I done to deserve this? But it was teaching me. I didn't realize it then, but it was teaching me to appreciate my life more, and to kind of knock me off of that pedestal, all these things all combined. But anyways, let's go a few months ahead. Okay, after my grandma died, my friend and my cousin, a few months later, my first cousin from the same village died, and I couldn't make it to his funeral. And that was making me beat myself up too. I felt terrible because, like, my husband and I were just getting back on our feet when it happened, and we just got into a new place, and I couldn't afford to make it. So I had guilt from that too. And then fast forward to a year later, my other grandma died. And then this was last year. Yeah, last year. My other grandma died. And then not even a week later, my husband's mom passed away. And then not even a month later, one of my friends went missing. She ended up dying. Or we don't know, actually. Like, we haven't found her body, but it's not like her to just disappear and not contact any of her family members or anything like that. Like, at first we thought that, but it was just too long. You know, it's been, in June it'll be a year. That's when things really started accelerating. In June of last year, Mars was in Cancer at the time. It was in its detriment. And then I remember in July when it hit Leo, that's when I like really started partying. I picked it back up again. I started partying again. And for me, like, there's nothing wrong with drinking if you can handle it, you know, if you can control it. But for me, it's an issue. I can't control it at all. I'm a major binge drinker. I'll drink till the bar closes and look for more alcohol when it closes, you know. I think that has to do with me being half Native and half Irish. That probably doesn't help. But anyways, I keep getting off topic. I've got to hurry up and get this done. I don't want this video to be too long because it takes forever to upload. But anyways, so, okay, back to Mars coming into Leo. I wasn't paying attention to astrology at the time. Like, now that I look back, I understand like how all these transits affected me, and now I kind of pay attention more, and I'm like, okay, so this might happen, so I'm a little bit more prepared. But anyways, so Mars comes into Leo. I start partying a lot, and oh yeah, I forgot to mention also another thing. On top of everything, one of our neighbors called Children's Services on us in June, I think it was, and that put a lot of strain on my husband and I's relationship. It was like, it just felt like one thing after another was happening to us, and like that's how we looked at it, you know. So we were dealing with that on top of everything, you know, grieving for family members and stuff like that, and and I started partying a lot, and then I ended up I thought that my husband wasn't the one for me, and I ended up cheating on him, and that was a huge mistake. Like, I realized what I had lost when I did it, and our connection just broke, and like, oh, that was what threw me over the edge. I didn't even understand how my heart was still beating. Like, when I lost his connection, that was like how bad it was. He pulled himself away, and I understand, you know, but that brought my awakening. I started seeing, when I was at my lowest, I started seeing synchronicities, and I didn't even know what that was. Like I said, I wasn't into astrology, I wasn't into tarot or anything like that yet. The first number that stood out to me was 1111. I kept seeing that everywhere, and like, when I was in this depressed state, when I was at the lowest I've ever been in my entire life, I started seeing number synchronicities, and it's like, that's curious, what's going on here, you know? And first it started with 1111, and then I started searching to see what that was about, and then I found I can't remember whose channel I found that was explaining it. I watched a few of them actually. I haven't since then. I just kind of look up the numbers whenever I see them on Google to find the angel numbers, and I try to think of what I was thinking of or doing when I saw it. But back then I was just trying to see what was going on. You know, that piqued my interest. And you know, I was still drinking pretty heavily at the time, and I started drinking even more after I did what I'd done. And like, I really hated myself. Like, I just wanted death. Like, I was like, God, just kill me, you know? I felt like there was no hope. There was no light. And I was in the dark night of the soul. But anyways, I'm gonna keep going. So after seeing all these number synchronicities, I started sensing spirits too. It really scared the crap out of me, because I grew up with a lot of superstition about passed on the dead and everything, and it really scared me. One day I was walking home from the liquor store, and I was hiding drinking from my husband. I popped open a beer, and I felt somebody and heard somebody run up behind me and then go, like, tap me on the shoulder twice. And then right as I was about to take a drink, I look, and it was a huge ass leaf. It was like that big, and it was really heavy, and that's what had fallen on my shoulder. So I was like, okay, whatever. You know, I was like, that was weird. So I went to go take a drink, and the weirdest thing happened. As soon as it hit my stomach, it came right back up. Like, it was not staying down, and I was like, all right, whatever, you know. So I threw my beer. I was pissed. Like, I usually don't litter, but I was like, what the heck? So now, like, I can't even numb myself of this pain anymore, you know? Like, what the heck? So, and then I started like also sensing spirits around me and stuff, and I wish I could go back and try to talk to them, because I know they're around, but they're not making themselves as known as they were when I was awakening. But one day I was laying on my bed, and I felt this like huge plop on my bed. Somebody sat on my bed, and I looked back, and there was nobody there. And my friend who had disappeared, like, I still didn't know what happened to her. This was a month or two after she'd disappeared, and that's when I knew she was gone. She used to come and wake me up. I used to sleep in a lot, and she'd just come in and be like, hey, you're wasting your whole day away. She'd come sit on my bed and, you know, get me and my daughter up for the day. And anyways, there was all kinds of things going on. Like, if you're having experiences like this with number synchronicities or spirits, you're not alone, and you're not going crazy. It's starting to happen to a lot of people. But anyways, let's move ahead. My husband and I have found healing, and he forgives me, but like, at first I didn't believe him, you know. Our connection, I still didn't get our full connection, and I just kept going through this dark night of the soul over and over again, because we would connect, you know, for a while and then disconnect. It was just on and off, and it was so painful. But I mean, we're doing a lot better now. We've had a lot of healing since then. And I'm so lucky that he forgives me for that. You know, I admitted it right away. I didn't even hide it or anything. I felt terrible. But anyways, like, I feel like that was fated, though, to bring my awakening. I really do, because that was so unlike me. And I've been with him for 10 years, you know. But anyways, and I'm still going through some tough times here every now and then, you know, with all these energies coming in. But I also kind of know what to expect because I'm keeping up with it. Oh yeah, I started practicing tarot and watching tarot in, I want to say, the end of August of last year. And then I ordered a deck for myself, and then I started practicing, I think in like the end of August or September. I started practicing and studying like all the meanings and everything, and I really got into it because it helped me out a lot when I was going through my awakening process. Every single reading I clicked on resonated. I was like, what the heck? I'm like, holy cow, this, like, it was so specific to my situation, and it was insane. I was like, okay, I was brought here for a reason. And then I got interested in doing it, and like I said, I've been doing it since then. That's how I started. I need to hurry up and wrap this up. It's been 26 minutes already. This is gonna take a really long time to upload. But anyways, that's pretty much my whole story about how I found tarot, how I awakened. Don't be afraid to share your stories, you guys. And especially if you see other people awakening, you see them going through the dark night of the soul, just let them know that you understand and you're there for them, because it's really tough, you know. It's really hard to talk about it. I thought I was going crazy. I really did. I was like, you know, maybe this is my brain's way of like dealing with it. You know, at first I just didn't want to believe it. Like, I didn't want to be crazy, you know. But I started accepting it. I've been tested so many times since then, like my faith, you know, just my belief that I'm gonna be okay. I've been humbled a lot. I still, you know, I'm human. I still make mistakes. We all do. And I don't follow one belief. I kind of just take a little bit here and there, what resonates with me from, like, you know, the spiritual community and from religion too. Like, I do believe there's a God. When I got my healing, oh, I forgot to talk about that, my healing. It was just sudden, and like, I was just at the lowest that I could ever be, and I did not see an end in sight of this pain. And all of a sudden I don't know how to describe it. There are no human words for it. It felt like it came from outside of our universe. So that's why I believe there is a creator. But anyways, I'm going off for way too long. It was, I don't know how to describe it. Like, I felt like it came from something that was omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient. It just knew everything. Just is, was, and always will be everything, you know? But anyways, you guys will hear me talk about God or your spirituality and stuff in my readings. Just take whatever resonates with you. You know, I don't judge others based on their beliefs or whatever, you know. It's like, we're all here for this, you know, to do the same thing, and none of us is above each other. We all need to, you know, try to have forgiveness and love in our hearts for people around us. Try to be understanding and try not to judge people. But anyways, you guys, that was a really long story about me. I might have to edit some of that out. you guys take care. That's who I am. That's how I found tarot. I'm going to start doing Leo full moon readings for every sign to see how the energies are going to affect everybody. Like I said, I don't have a set schedule, so I'm just kind of going along with it, I guess. My North Node is in Aries, so I really feel like that's something I'm supposed to learn, is to just jump into something. I have a hard time with that because I'm very fixed in my chart. I'm a Leo sun, Cancer rising, and I have an Aquarius moon, so very fixed. I like to plan things, and I don't like to jump for something unless I know there's a good chance I'm going to be successful. But anyways, I'm taking a chance with this, and I have no idea what's happening in my chart to make me do that, but I've been planning this for months, and I'm finally starting to put videos out. Anyways, you guys have a good night. I'm gonna go ahead and start with readings and start posting them up. I should have them all up by the full moon. It is on the 9th, I believe. I'll double check that, and I'll make sure to mention it in my readings. But anyways, you guys should go check out astrology if you haven't. Find out how these energies are affecting you. Find out when your Saturn return is and all that stuff, because I'm sure that'll help, because it was really rough for me. I didn't know anything about it, and I kind of destroyed my life, but I'm rebuilding. I'm moving ahead, you know, and I'm working on not beating myself up anymore for my past. I've had a lot of healing, and just forgiveness, you know, for myself and for others around me. But anyways, you guys have a good night, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Alright, bye guys.